Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. And I wanted to finally give my final review of the Stranger Things tie-in novels. I have reviews already. I'll post links in the top right-hand corner to the first two. Just to recap briefly, Stranger Things Suspicious Minds was horrible. It just oozed SJW propaganda. Yeah, a couple things, that was kind of good to know about the history, Terry Ives, Elle's mom, and stuff like that getting in there. There was this one, the Stranger Things Darkness on the Edge of Town, which was glorious, really a fun read, great read, good Jim Hopper story, and surprised me with some new things. It was good. And this up today is the Stranger Things Runaway Max, which is a teen novel, I guess. It's pretty short, as you can see, and it's definitely geared towards, towards a teen audience, like sort of lower end of the teen. What is that? I forget the exact definition of mid-grade. I think that's probably about what it's called. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this, and I have talked about the comics too from Dark Horse. The first 4-issue run was pretty great. I talked about that in the Suspicious Minds video, and I'll talk a little bit about the first 2 issues in this video of the new series. Hasn't released the 3 and 4 yet. They're still coming, but I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. So let's get into Stranger Things Runaway Max first. This book it's no Darkness on the Edge of Town. That's a glorious book, just wonderful, loved it. This book isn't horrible. It's not like Suspicious Minds at all. In fact, it's very well written, very well written. I think the thing I can say about this book is that it doesn't really add anything to the Stranger Things universe or the story. Basically, this book is all of the events of Season 2 through Max's perspective. And then that's peppered in with flashbacks to when her mother first met Neil and they got married and all of the trauma that she's had to deal with Billy, and him going off and flipping out in the past and everything. So you get a lot more of the specifics of her past with her family. But it's nothing that you didn't already assume from just watching Season 2. It's nothing surprising. Everything that you read in this novel, you basically already knew took place. This just gives you some of the specifics and actual scenes, and if you were interested in that. Now, some people are going to be interested in that. Maybe Max was just, you really enjoyed her character in Season 2. And again, I'm talking about this right now, not having watched Season 3 yet. I wanted to finish reading all of these before I jump into Season 3. That's what I'm going to do starting tonight, and I will provide my own review of Season 3 once I finish that up in the next few days. But, or week or whatever. But if Max just really resonated with you, let's say in Season 2, then yeah, sure, you probably enjoy this book. I think, I'm trying to think of young girls. Young girls could enjoy it. The problem is that I think you'd really have to watch the season. You almost have to watch the season first because she sums up a lot. That's one thing. The only negative I can say about this book in terms of how it's written is that she over summarizes a lot of things. And speaking as someone who's watched Season 2, you approach it, well, that kind of makes sense. You don't want to relive every little moment of a scene that she was there for. Is it going to add any information? That's the idea. So sometimes the scenes, we get her thoughts, when we're pretty much more firmly in the boys' perspective during the season. So sometimes it's okay, but then towards the end, it starts to get rushed and everything just begins to be summarized pretty quickly. And, it gets, not crazy about that. But it is fun that we do get a little tease of the Starcourt Mall. Somebody talks about the mall being built, there and everything like that. So it is sort of a setup of Season 3. What I really appreciated about this book, though, I talked about how Suspicious Minds was just oozing this kind of, feminist agenda and stuff like that. And it was just, This book you would think might do the same, right? It's using Max as the main character. She's a tomboy. She's not going to conform to the expectations for little girls and stuff like that. But it doesn't. It doesn't do any of that. It's true to her character because her character organically is a tomboy. She is all about not conforming. She's likes to be the badass. She likes to be the skater from the West Coast and stuff like that. So it's perfectly in character for her, and it's in character for her to look out for strong women because her mother is so weak, just kind of rolling over all the time for Neil, her abusive stepfather. And it makes sense for her to be on the lookout, for a strong woman. So she talks about, finally seeing Terminator in the theaters, that came out at this point, and she likes the way that Sarah Connor kind of broke bad at the end of Terminator and all of that. And there's one scene in particular that I just want to highlight to point out how this does it well. And this is how, if you want to have a character, if you're a writer yourself, or if you're just a reader or a viewer and you want to kind of gauge, are you being too overly sensitive? Because there is so much political agenda pushed into fiction these days. But sometimes it's easy to be a little overly sensitive. Like, just because a woman is strong and independent in a show, you kind of get on edge already because you're waiting for it, right? That's natural, but you want to make sure that you're not being overly sensitive and that really is a problem in the story. And this is an example of how it's just really well done and organic. So one thing I didn't even consider watching the season 2 was at the end of season 2, and this is a spoiler if you haven't watched season 2, just be warned. When they're all holed up in the buyer's home, and the phone rang, so Will is able to clue the demi-dogs into where he is and everything like that, and they're all attacking the house, and then they're getting ready to attack the house, and they're gearing up though. You've got Steve with his bat with the nails, he's sitting there with that. Hopper has his gun. Hopper asks Jonathan, do you know how to use one of these, the gun? And he's like, and Nancy says, I do. And she throws it to him, and then she cocks the gun. She knows how to use a gun. That was already established in season 1. Well, that was great. It was perfectly in character for Nancy's, character to do that. She talked about how she had, learned a little bit about guns in season 1. That was in character. That was not a socially, a contrived moment just to preach a social agenda or something like that. It was perfectly in character. I never thought watching that scene, though, how Max might have reacted to that, just internally. Because, Max seeing Nancy, who's this, little preppy girl, would have been to her perspective anyway, when she first sees her, all of a sudden is really bad with a gun and everything like that, and that's pretty cool. And I'm just going to read you this small little passage, which really is just, I applaud this. This is how to do it. I applaud the sentiment as well. So this is at that moment when Nancy, received the gun and cocked it and everything. And, Max says, I always believed that it wasn't too hard to be strong, that people like my mom just weren't trying hard enough. I knew that girls could be as badass as boys, but before I'd always thought the only way to do it was by being just like them. Nancy didn't seem to be trying to be Steve or Hopper. She was dangerous and brave and frightened all at once. When she lifted her chin and raised the gun to her shoulder, it looked like it belonged there. And I love that. In an earlier paragraph, it talks about how Nancy was standing in front of Steve and Hopper. She was frightened and delicate, like the girls who always screamed the chilling scream in all the stories, but she was fierce too. That's great. And that one line that you don't have to be the girls to be strong. The girls don't have to be just like the boys. They can be themselves. They can be feminine even, and they can be all these things and still be tough. Strength isn't the sole attribute of masculinity or whatever. It's not. It doesn't only belong to that. You can be strong in different ways. So people, today in fiction are always trying to write their strong female characters, but they in essence just make them the phallic woman. And I've talked a lot about the difference between the phallic woman and the heroine, and why the heroine is a far more compelling character. Not that phallic women can't be really fun to follow as well. But anyway, that's the book, Stranger Things Runaway Max. It's a fun book if you have a young girl in your life that likes to read or might be interested in Stranger Things. That's the thing. A lot of young girls aren't really going to be allowed to watch Stranger Things because of all the horror. But kids have different capacities for that. So if one's interested or whatever, or if even you yourself are interested enough in the universe to kind of soak up all of the tie-ins, I definitely recommend it. But if you're not really interested in Max the character and you're don't need to read everything about Stranger Things, you can easily skip this. Like I said, it does not add anything new to the mythos or to our new aspects to the characters that you didn't already assume. Darkness on the Edge of Town adds a lot to Hopper. I mean, it doesn't go, he's telling Elle the story, like I said, of something a case he was working on in New York City, but it really just fleshes out his character even more and really adds a lot that you never would have guessed just watching the series. So that's the point of comparison. Briefly, I do want to mention, just because they're out already, and I am covering all of the Stranger Things fiction tie-in, I will look at the last 2 issues when they come out and talk about the run in general. But so far, this is by Jody Houser again, same author as the first series. The first series was immediately great, and you really loved it because it was the story of Will's experience in the Upside Down. That's straight from the series, season 1, and it was cool like that. It was cool tie-ins and stuff like that. This one, though, is a prequel again, and it's about this character named Six. So she was if Elle is 11 and Callie was 8, I believe, this is 6. So she was number 6, and she has the ability to see into the future. It's not a spoiler. You find that on basically the very first page. And that's her power, and she's she's been taken in by Dr. Brenner. I can't really say if it's interesting or not yet. It's kind of slow to get into. And you follow this character's story, but so far her story in the facility there, in the Hawkins lab, it doesn't seem to flow or to jive quite well with Elle's experience, for example. Because this seems like, they're kept at the lab, they can't leave, but they're allowed to play together and they're allowed to do all these things. And even when we get to Elle at one point in the book, she's seen as this isn't the girl tortured and tormented like we've known her to be from the series, right? I mean, she has her long hair here. I don't know why it's blonde, but she has this long hair, and she can do these different things. They have a cafeteria where they can commune together. They can have a little community. Season 1 basically set up Elle as just completely isolated and alone, and so maybe that's going to be a change. I can't. That's why it's hard to judge it on just the first 2 issues. Maybe issue 3 will have something. Maybe something 6 does. Maybe that's the point of this arc, where Dr. Brenner decides to run things differently, and now all of a sudden totally isolate Elle and things like that. So I don't know. That's just the pitch of, that's just not the pitch, but that's the basic review of the first 2 issues. Interesting. Don't really know if it's going to develop into something cool or just kind of be a flop of something, So I don't know. So far, so good. We'll stay the course and just see what happens. That's the current miniseries from the comics there. And that's it. So these are the three books. And that's my review of those. And I will now go ahead and watch season 3 and provide my review of that. I know most people have downed that season in the first day or 2, and you're on to other things because God forbid you slow down and savor and analyze something and really find out whether it works or not. I've heard mixed things about season 3, but I'm going to go ahead and watch it for myself, and we'll see. So I'll be back with that soon. And like I said, if you enjoy Stranger Things and you like this kind of story where it's sort of spooky and uncanny, you do want to check out my own graphic novel, currently in demand on Indiegogo, only for about another month and a half or so. It's not going to be available forever there because I'm going to be taking it down to throw the next one up. So do check out the link in the description below. Tales from the Stacks, great novel, a great graphic novel. You'd enjoy it if you like this kind of genre fiction. That's all for now. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the stories you love. Thanks for watching.